Hello, on the sidelines fans. I'm your host, Cameron Capobianco. Joining me today from Forge FC, Alessandro Hojabropur. Hopefully, I pronounced that right, Alessandro, or close enough at least.
Yeah, that was really good. Well done.
Perfect. Well, thank you again so much for joining me. First of all, how are you feeling after that 2 week trip to Costa Rica?
Feeling good. Yeah, the trip was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun with the guys, and the weather was good. The food was good. Training was really fun. There was a lot of time on the field, a lot of hours there, which is good for us. And yeah, it's fun to be home though.
So why don't we just get into before we get into your CPL start in Blue Pacific and Forge FC that move? Let's just talk about what made Alessandro want to become a professional soccer player.
From the very start, I think I always loved the game. I think my dad kind of made me fall in love with the game ever since I was really young. I was always kicking the ball around in the house, and my dad always loved soccer, so just being around the game made me fall in love with it. And then obviously it was really the only sport that I played my whole life. So when you do something every day, it's a lot more fun, and you just fall in love with it even more.
Absolutely. So, were there any players or teams that you kind of grew up watching that helped you fall in love more with the game?
Yeah, Juventus is my favorite team. I've supported them since 2006 now, which is a long time. Del Piero is my favorite player. He was the captain of the team at the time, so that he's really why I support them. Yeah, basically them, the Italian national team, because my mother's Italian, so I kind of watch them a lot. Yeah, those are probably the two most inspirational teams I've watched.
Well, that makes two of us because I'm also a Juventus fan. I'm a Del Piero fan. I'm a
Nice.
full blood Italian, so of course I'm watching always the national team play as well.
Cool.
But let's just get into your start in the CPL when you started out for Pacific FC. For you, what did it mean being a kid from British Columbia to start your pro career at the time with what was the only team in British Columbia, Pacific FC?
Yeah, it was great. My family was able to come to a lot of the games, which was nice. I'd been away for a while before that, and they're now able to come over to the island and watch the games. And it was a good place for me to start. You know, there was two coaches there that believed a lot in me, which is why I played a lot of minutes, and I got to dip my feet into professional football kind of thing and play with men, and it was a lot of fun at a young portion of my career, and grateful for the club and what they were allowing me to play.
Were there any nerves before you made your CPL debut against FC Edmonton? And if so, how did you overcome those nerves before stepping onto the pitch?
Not really nerves, but I remember that game pretty well. I didn't play too well, to be honest. I was a little unfit, a little bit just it was a very hot day and not my greatest performance, but it was one of those games that you get to learn from and get to be a part of the team and get first minutes with the team, and no real nerves, but it was a good memory for me.
So I assume it was more like an exciting kind of thing, just finally stepping onto the pitch for the first time then.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Obviously, it was like a couple games of the season. I got injured in the beginning of the season, so that was a tough period for me. And then after training for a couple months, finally getting to play with the guys in a game was nice.
So let's jump ahead to that CPL title win for Pacific. Obviously, the first one not being brought back by Forge FC. What did it mean to you to win the CPL title? First off, with Pacific FC, being a British Columbian kid and bringing the title back to BC. But what did it also mean to you to score the game winner in that match?
Yeah, it was a cool moment. It's a moment I'll always look back at, my first big trophy in my career, and it was a great journey, with whenever you win, you can look back on the year and be it's a lot easier to look back on the year and have the memories be in your mind that are nice. And there's a lot of good memories with that team. And that year was a lot of fun to play soccer, to be around that group of players, and then eventually winning and bringing back a trophy to BC, winning the trophy for the first time with that club, scoring a goal in the final are all things I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to get into another game where that you scored in last year's CPL title win for Forge FC. But let's just jump ahead to some players you played with on Pacific FC. What was it like playing with guys like Lucas McNaughton, who now plays for Toronto FC, the recently retired Jamar Dixon, who I want to get into in just a bit, and Marco Bustos?
Yeah, Lucas was one of my good friends on the team. He's what we knew since coming in. He was one of the fittest guys, a great leader on the field, good guy off the field. We always knew that eventually he could make the jump, and he's doing a great job at Toronto FC. Jamar, the captain of the team, another guy who played with me in midfield, so we got to know each other pretty well, and a great guy both on and off the field, taught me a lot of things. And then Marco's a great player too, good guy in the locker room, good player on the field, the player that can make the difference, unlock a team. He's the guy you look for up front to put the ball in the net too, so he's a great player to have on your team.
So let's just focus on Jamar Dixon as he just retired. I just wanted to ask you, how much of an impact did Jamar have on your career playing at Pacific?
Yeah, obviously, when you play a lot with a person, you get to know them a little better. You talk about the game, you get to talk about not the game as well in the locker room. So he's a good person to have young in my career that I could learn from. And it was also great that we won together, a lot of good memories throughout the year that you can look back on and feed off each other.
Absolutely. So let's just jump ahead to that move that you made where you moved from Pacific, now playing for Forge FC. I know they play in the same league, but were there any differences when you first moved here to Hamilton to play for Forge? Were there any differences between Pacific and Forge?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think every team in the league has a little bit of different about them. Obviously, the city's different, being further away from home, being in Hamilton, but just the way the team is run is a lot different. Here's a lot more football focused, I'd say. But it's been a lot of fun. I think I've made a decision in my career that has helped me a lot. I think coming here to Forge has elevated my career in a way that I was looking forward to in terms of when I made the choice to come here. And there's some other subtle differences, but yeah, there's a little bit different.
So walk us through that golden goal from last year's. I'm going to call it a golden goal because it was the game winner, obviously. And just like you and goals in the finals go so well together. You scored one for Pacific against Forge, and then you score one for Forge FC against Atletico Ottawa. So walk us through that goal on that free kick from Tristan Borges.
Yeah, I mean, there's a free kick in the corner again, and we spend a lot of time on our set pieces here. It's an important part of the modern day game, and we take it very serious. So we know that it's a chance to, change the game in an instant. And honestly, the ball just came to my head. I'm just one of the guys in the area. It could have came to anyone else. It just came to me, and I was able to put it on target and put it in. And we set up those set pieces in a way that whoever it lands to, hopefully gets the opportunity to put it in. It just happened to be me, and it was a great ball into the box in a great position, and I was just able to flick it in, which was nice. And when you score goals early in the game or when you score in set pieces, it kind of changes the whole dynamic of the game. The team who's maybe defending a little more has to come out of their shell. They have to kind of offer something else. It can change a game in an instant. So it was good that we were able to get that goal.
So let's jump ahead now to this coming up season for the CPL with Forge FC. What are some things you still feel like you could still improve on ahead of April 15th match against Calvary?
Personally or as a team?
We could do both actually. You know what? Why don't we start with personal and then we jump into the team thing? Like, what do you think you guys are working on ahead of that match against Calvary?
Ahead of that match against Calvary, I think we're just focused on ourselves. One of the biggest things we do is everything we do is triggered towards how we perform in the game, how we're going to approach the game. I think you'll see a lot of similar things to the way we played last year. I don't think we're going to try to invent something new, but I think we're just going to try to sharpen up in the final third. I think last year we created a lot of opportunities for ourselves. Maybe this year we can be a little more ruthless in front of goal, a little more like ability to take our chances early in games. We seem to be able to create a lot of chances early in the game. But I think you'll see a lot of similar stuff. I think you'll see a fit team. I think you'll see a team with a lot of energy, a lot of creative attacking ideas, attacking plays. So that's what we bring to every game. We're not just looking forward to one game. Of course, the beginning of the season we're looking forward to come, but we look forward to the season as a whole and playing every single game as it matters.
So what about for you personally? What do you still feel like you can improve on ahead of that April 15th match?
Yeah, of course, you can always improve as a player in the little things. Obviously, my game is centered around passing and moving the ball as I'm a midfielder. So there's a lot of things I can do that help me out as a midfielder in terms of scanning the field, being in a better body position to receive the ball, receiving the ball with a better first touch. I'd say in everything, there's no thing that I'm perfect at or that I don't need to improve on. I think every player, and I'm talking for myself here, can always improve on every little thing. I think the things that are more positive and more noteworthy in my game are obviously things I'm going to work on the most. So being a midfielder, that's passing, receiving, obviously my fitness levels, defending, tactical awareness, those things are all things I'm going to improve on more, but there's always everything that you can improve on.
So I asked you about players you played with on Pacific FC, which was Lucas McNaught, Jamar Dixon, Marco Bustos. I want to talk about some Forge players that you're playing with. And some of the guys I'm going to mention are Ashton Morgan, Kyle Becker, Jordan Hamilton, three guys who played at the MLS level where Lucas is now, but have come down to the CPL. What's it like playing with these guys on the team? But also you look at some guys who are playing at a semi-professional league like League One Ontario, such as Chris Colongo.
Yeah, I mean, all those three guys that played in the MLS obviously have a lot of experience they bring down, and they're also a lot of quality that they bring down. Those are three guys that can also change the game, have enough quality to change the game in an instant, and they bring a lot to the locker room as well in terms of experience, in terms of just who they are as people. You know, they come into the locker room and they're just people who brighten up the day, make the locker room a lot of fun. Obviously, Bex is our captain, so he has that leadership ability in him. He has that quality that very few players in this league or very few players that I've played with have. And just good guys too. You know, you can come into the from a higher level and maybe have a little bit of ego, but those guys have none of that. You know, they come in, they work just as hard, if not harder than everyone else here. You see them doing extra work in the gym, and you see it pays off with their careers.
Absolutely. So my last question for you, Alessandro, is what are some pieces of advice you can give to younger kids, younger adults who want to follow in your footsteps and maybe play at the CPL level like you are right now?
I'd say extra. Working extra is probably the biggest thing. I'd say understanding what your strengths and weaknesses, you know, one of the best things I was ever told is that you want to show off your strengths and make them even stronger, and then put your weaknesses in your pocket. Try not to show as much as your weakness as possible, and just work on your strengths. Obviously, you want to work on your weaknesses though too, but for example, as a midfielder, you want to get better at things that are good in the midfield, things that are going to help you in the midfield. So I say extra work in all different facets of the game, on the field, off the field, is going to be your biggest help.
Absolutely. Well, Alessandro, I want to say thank you so much for joining me on this episode of On the Sidelines. Really appreciate taking time out of your day to do this, and hopefully we have you on again, and good luck on April 15th against Cavalry.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Guys, Alessandro Hojabropur of Forge FC. I'm Cameron Capobianco, and we'll catch you guys next time.